Grand Theft Auto 1997 was the beginning of the franchise and features the largest map in the franchise. Not by size, of course, but rather by the sheer scale. There are a total of 3 cities in the game, which is more than any other game in the franchise. The 3 fictional cities in the game were Liberty City, San Andreas, and Vice City. From Grand Theft Auto 3 2001 onwards, each game was set in a redesigned version of one of these cities. Grand Theft Auto 2, 1999. The GTA franchise is known for their immersive world and fun playlists. However, they are also known for their Easter eggs. Grand Theft Auto 5 featured a bunch of them, as well as every other entry in the franchise. However, a little known fact about GTA 2 is that it is the only game in the franchise that features no Easter eggs. This whole game in the Grand Theft Auto series just doesn't have a single Easter egg. Grand Theft Auto 3, 2001. Speaking of Easter eggs, Grand Theft Auto 3 main protagonist did not have a proper name. However, this was later addressed in a further entry in the franchise. The character's name is later established as Claude. You can find this out after completing the storyline of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas 2004. It is assumed that Claude is Claude Speed, the main character from Grand Theft Auto 2, 1999. Grand Theft Auto Vice City, 2002. Now to one of the greatest games ever made in the history of this industry, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. This was one of the games that solidified GTA as one of the best franchises. It also had some of the most relevant mission names. 2 of the missions in the game are called No Escape and Copland. No Escape, 1994, and Copland, 1997, are movies that star Ray Liotta. He voices the main protagonist, Tommy Vercetti. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, 2004. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was the biggest game in the franchise when it released. It was also one of the most drastic changes in GTA history. It featured a whole province, state, with 3 different cities that were explorable. Also, it brought back a bunch of characters from Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Characters such as Claude, Don Salvatore Leon, Maria Latorre Leon, Ken Rosenberg, Kent Paul, Catalina, Jethro, Dwayne, and more can be seen in the game doing a few cameos. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, 2005. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories is a bit of an outlier in the franchise. Not many people know about the existence of this game, nor have they played it. However, those who have played it on platforms other than the PSP haven't experienced a secret snow weather effect. The secret snow weather effect only happens on the PSP version, on level 9 of the car salesman side mission. The effect was removed on PS2 and mobile. Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, 2006. Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories is the second game to feature Vice City in the 3D series of GTA. That is perhaps because it features the most unique GTA protagonist. Not only was he the first GTA protagonist to die in a different game in the series, Victor Vance is also the only GTA protagonist that doesn't start out as a criminal. Grand Theft Auto 4, 2008. Grand Theft Auto 4 was by far the biggest generational leap that Rockstar took with their games in the 3D series so far. However, it's interesting how they were thinking of the future while making this game. I say that because the character Wu Kenny Lee can also be found in the LCPD online database, even though he was not introduced until Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars 2009 for the Nintendo DS. Grand Theft Auto The Lost and Damned, 2009. Not only was Grand Theft Auto Lost and Damned the very first story DLC to ever grace the Grand Theft Auto series, it also is the only 3D GTA game where the protagonist, Johnny Klebitz, cannot have his outfit changed at all. Claude could have been the other protagonist who can't change, however, he is seen wearing an orange prison suit at the start of the game. Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars, 2009. While not the most renowned game in the franchise for its gameplay or story, Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars had one of the best soundtracks in the history of the franchise. The music was so darn good to the developers, they decided that all the bosses in the game will have their own theme songs. The themes play whenever their missions are initiated. Grand Theft Auto: The Ballad of Gay Tony, 2009. Grand Theft Auto: The Ballad of Gay Tony is the second story DLC for Grand Theft Auto 4. This game was loved for its sense of humor. For example, if Louis takes too many shots in one of the bars, he will pass out and wake up in strange places, such as Middle Park or next to the beating heart inside of the Statue of Happiness. Grand Theft Auto 5, 2013. Grand Theft Auto 5 is perhaps the greatest open-world game ever made. Even if you disagree, it definitely has to be one of the most influential games of our time. The freedom it offers players is the key here, as this is the first Grand Theft Auto game where the entire map is available to explore from the start of the game. Previous entries in the series have made only limited sections available until certain missions are completed, whereas entering regions not yet unlocked gives the player a 4-star wanted level. Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, 2021. Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy, and also the Definitive Edition, was honestly the most confusing game in the franchise. Not just to the players, but rather also to the industry. No one really expected these games to be that bad. In fact, it's such a bad game, according to so many people, that it is the only one in the franchise to have less than a 5 out of 10 average rating.
Shit, man, they coming for us in a truck.